to fund the contracts that you didn't want us to see that we now see. I would like to talk about the first contract, which is with a company called White Birch Group. I would like to talk about the first contract, which is with a company called White Birch Group. There is no company called White Birch Group. There is no group of White Birch Group. White Birch Group consists of one man who lives in an apartment in Chicago. He's a wonderful guy. He's got a master's degree in architectural science, and he works part-time for the Northbrook Fire Department. I would like you to examine the stationery of the contract that was signed by the city administrator. There is no address. There's nothing. All that there is.
Mr. Osmond, let's stay to the point of the item, the operating budget.
Right. Is the White Birch Group LLC.com. That's the only thing on the stationery. Nobody in the city did the due diligence to go to this URL.
This is not the item. Okay?
Yes, it is. This has to do with
Mr.
you
Warner.
changing the budget for the money to pay this guy who is totally, you did no due diligence. Go to this website. It's a $29.95 GoDaddy website that's not even filled in. Let me show you what he says. What services is
it's
a
not
White
germane. You'll get your time.
Your Honor, it is not germane to the topic.
That's what I said. So please stay with the operating budget.
Okay, you're going to spend $2 million for a guy that's unqualified.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. Will an alderman move the resolution? Ordinances, resolutions, and motions, there are none for tonight. Ordinances, resolutions, and motions, there are none for tonight. The next area, is there any public business? So again, folks, please come to the podium. 3 minutes. The next person, if there's someone else, please stand by one of the polls so I know you're next. We'd love to know your name, order, address. If you're not from here, where you're from. Thank you.
Ron Swainer, Davenport, Rock Island. I am thoroughly disgusted with this city and this council. 2 weeks in a row, our public comments have been cut off. Technical difficulties. That is totally unacceptable. You talk about a fair and transparent government. To not allow the people at home that view this and put it on a few days later in hopes they don't see it is utterly unacceptable. We spend our time down here talking to the council, viewing our concerns, our needs, our wants, and to be cut out like that? No, no. If that's the way this council and city is going to be, I think we need to clean house. I mean, that's wrong. You've cut our 5-minute time limit down to 3. Now you're cutting our comments, broadcasting the night of the city council meeting. 2 weeks in a row. Is this the third? I'll find out when I get home because the wife's watching. If it is, you know, who's responsible? It better not happen again because you know what? Citizens don't forget. You know, you talk about transparency, open government, wanting to hear, yet you won't let our voices be heard? No, no. That's totally unacceptable, and I'm ashamed that this is happening in our city, and I expect it not to happen again. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
My name is David Ezra Sidron. I've been a 3rd Ward resident for 30 plus years. May I talk about the lack of due diligence on these contracts now?
Sir, you have 3 minutes. You may anything other than what was on the agenda, so
Okay.
please continue.
I urge everyone to go to White Birch Group LLC. This is the public corporation site. This is the public face of this company, which doesn't exist, which is one person. I would like to read the qualifications of the White Birch Group, which you've just given a contract to, from their own website. What services does White Birch Group offer? White Birch Group offers a wide range of lorem ipsum dolor sit amit consecutor adicipic illicit. No, I'm not speaking in tongues. This is Latin garbage. He didn't finish putting together his $29.95 website from GoDaddy. It is a total lack of professionalism. How could anybody give an open-ended contract to somebody whose public appearance, his public website is nothing but garbage? Now, because I'm running out of time, I'd like to talk about the other contract you gave, and this is to a legitimate company. This is Socotech Engineering. It's a very legitimate company. Unlike the White Birch Group, they've got real stationery. They've got a real address. The real address is 35 East Wacker Drive. It's a real building. I've been there. Now I'd like to turn your attention to this contract, which was signed by your city administrator. And it says, client, that's the city of Davenport, is aware that SEI, that's Socotech Engineering Incorporated, has not yet provided it with a proposal. You've signed a contract with a company with no proposal, and you've given them a blank check. They are going to bill you at $500 an hour from the moment they leave 35 East Wacker Drive and drive to Davenport. They're going to charge you $1,500 just to drive to Davenport. And it's an open-ended contract. I've done contracts with the government many times. I've done contracts with the Army, with the Department of Defense, with the Office of Naval Research, with DARPA, the Defense Advanced Research Projects, that I was a principal investigator of. And never, ever have I ever seen a contract with any government agency that did not have a work order, did not have a proposal, that was open-ended and allowed them to bill any amount of money they wanted. How did you sign this? Lack of due diligence. It's a blank check. I am terribly sorry.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Yeah.
My name is James Woods. I live in the 8th Ward. I sat in a 3rd Ward meeting 2 weeks ago. Not a council member, but a gentleman from our city told us that multi-unit complexes get inspected every 2 years and houses get inspected every 4. I was out that week. I gave a picture to 2 different aldermen. That building has not been inspected in 3 years. There's tarp holding crumbling brick. There's living squirrels in the tarp, and nothing's been done. Are we waiting for this one to fall too? I'm just wondering, because 2 weeks, I showed them the pictures. They've seen them. The lies are ridiculous that come out of the city of Davenport. He said that single-family homes that are rentals are inspected every 4 years. I had a constituent sign my paper that his landlord sent him a text. I've personally seen the text. He gets a 10-year grace period on his rental property that's got 2 broken windows. The plumbing leaks into the basement. They've reported it numerous times. But because he's a county assessor, he gets by with it. The tone and the demeanor that our city staff say in conferences inside this meeting, you guys already made us look like a laughing fool for the first week when the building come down. Any time we can stop would be greatly appreciated.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Good evening. I'm Rosa, 8th Ward. I just have a couple questions that I'd like to ask. And Mayor, you have invited me to speak with you personally as well. But I want the public to know my concerns here. I want to talk about the floods of 2019, when there was a delay on adding the next layer of the wall, and the people down on River Drive lost their businesses. They were told they would be given a loan that a few didn't accept. Due to the debating of adding another layer to the wall, we did lose businesses here in Davenport. It was said that you weren't in the business of helping businesses, but now you're trying to assist businesses since we've had the collapse of the building over here, and we had over 3 deaths, but you didn't want to help those businesses affected by the floods unless they took a loan. But this disaster, you're handing them money. I want to talk about the fire marshal who you put in a position to sue the city by terminating her. She won a grievance, then you hired her back. She won $300,000 lawsuit, then left. You could have kept that money had a gay joke not been said by our city administrator to her. And I know you don't want me to say her name, but I'm gonna say what I want to say. I know, please, I'm talking, okay? We could have had that money to help the less fortunate people here in Scott County. But this is what you allow. You allow those type of comments to be made, and then you have to pay people all that money. And then during a disaster like this happen, you want to give them something and you don't. But we could have helped them there. Then I want to talk about Clay Merritt and Mallory Merritt, the nepotism. Well, you ain't got to allow me, okay? I said it, I'm gonna keep talking now, but it's out there in the air. Okay, they're making $200,000 apiece from the city.
Ma'am, I'm going to stop you from talking if you keep saying names.
I'm not saying no name, I
You
said
just did.
they. I said they.
No
I
more.
said I gave it to the air. It's over. I'm continuing to talk. I'm not keep saying their name. I'm saying they. Now, if y'all want to keep hiding this stuff, that's y'all. But everybody needs to know the corruption that's going on down here. So I'm going to just say a husband and wife, and that's not saying their name, shouldn't have these positions reporting to each other. And the CFO is the wife. So I'm not saying her name, guys. And she rose up to your city administrator. Just want to let y'all know that this stuff is happening. We're giving these people a lot of money. $400,000 a year, that's what presidents make.
Thank you for your time.
Yeah, just want y'all to know.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Jessica Knowles, second word. Hi guys, here, fourth week in a row. Any answers yet? Didn't think so. My concerns are that, A, I said something last week, hoping that maybe somebody would reach out to let me know who I can voice my concerns to my ward. Because let's see, third week in a row, my alderman's not here, guys. I've even called the city hall. I've even called a council member and left a message. 3 days later, still no call. So, I mean, can we have at least some transparency here to where us second ward citizens and voters can know who to voice the concerns to? And guess what? We already knew. You guys cut the feed again.
Thank you. Anyone else?
It's not no glitch. They only do it for public speaking.
Ma'am, please. Thank you.
Diane Salmon, 8th Ward. Thank you, Alderman Lee, for always being transparent. I hope the next mayor and the next corporate council will be kinder to you than what these guys have been. I understand the rules state that you guys are not allowed to respond to people when they speak, but I hope that at least every single one of you are listening to what we're saying to you and that you're truly taking it to heart. 1 month ago today, the voices of Brandon, Ryan, and Daniel were silenced forever when they lost their lives in this senseless tragedy. We are now their voices, and we will not be ignored. We will not be silent until justice is served for every single one of them, their families, and every other family that was impacted on this day. People have been asking why God made this happen, but God did not do this. He is grieved by this. The greed of man is what causes tragedy. The selfishness of man causes tragedy. The rich people of this city have been allowed to just skate by with the people turning a blind eye to the illegal things that have been going on at the expense of the elderly, the disabled, and the less fortunate. They have bullied them into believing they have no one to turn to because the help for them has not been happening. They reach out to their landlords, the inspectors, the council members, except for Alderman Lee because she's been fantastic, and the mayor, and they get no response. They can't afford to go anywhere else, and no one is helping them. It becomes a vicious cycle and is very disheartening. Have you guys ever lost anything and had to completely rebuild? Because I have. I had to start from the bottom and rebuild, and you can't just do it on a paycheck, and you can't just do it on the so-called $6,000 because that doesn't do a dang thing. You have to have first and last month's rent. You have to have all of your utilities. You have to have food, and with inflation being through the roof, it's even worse. Every single one of these people deserve justice, and not just them, but all the businesses that have been around them deserve to have justice as well. We are not going to be silent. That is not a threat. That's a promise. That's a guarantee that we have the backs of all the people that have gone through this tragedy, and we are just going to keep showing up. You can just guarantee it. And thank you again, Alderman Lee. I'm sorry they are so cruel to you.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else?